one.
Hello,
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to
Do what?
Inside Movies Galore. I am your host, one of your hosts, David Strege. But we are. Is this the still the month where we are giving films a second chance? Mo, we're doing your picks for this week. So
Indeed.
why don't you tell me what this second film is all about?
Well, I mean, like this thick chick that works as a projectionist has a friend who's like a news reporter, and basically she had an abortion at one time, so she's going around cutting out the ovaries of other women, as one does. And you know, this reporter chick introduces her to this guy that they both fall in love with. It makes them crazy, and they try to kill each other. That's the movie in a nutshell. There's a lot of awesome neon billboards, and it's got a pretty good soundtrack. This is one that definitely I fucking kind of hated the first time that I saw it. It was probably a good 10, 11 years ago when I bought the movie. And I bought it after having torrented the original one, like we talked about in the previous discussion.
Oh, yeah.
I liked that one. You know, I just could never find it on DVD, but I found the second one, bought it, and I was pretty hyped on it based on the first one. And it just didn't live up to it at the time. But at the time, I didn't appreciate a lot of the things a movie like this offers. But no, it's about the size of it, man. I don't know. Is this all your guys' first time watching this?
Yeah, I was posting about it on Facebook and on the Slasher app, which I recently joined. It's kind of neat, by the way. Check Slasher out.
I gotta use more of it. You know, it seems cool.
But anyway, so when I posted about it, people were like, "I thought you were talking about Evil Dead 2." Like, people were confused. They thought the trap was like a typo. A few people were like, "Oh man, you are in for it." And I was like, "Uh-oh." And so I'm gonna be honest, the first third of the movie, pretty slow, no idea what was going on. Second half really picks up and started engaging me, and then the last third of it, what the heck? And pretty much at no point was I fully sure what was happening. But it was. I can't say it was bad. Like, I want to say it was good. I think I described it on Slasher as a mashup of Eraserhead, the New York Ripper, and a little bit of Phenomena.
Yeah, Phenomena, Suspiria, some type of Italian neon fucking goodness, you know.
And
candy light shit that they do.
And Dustin, you should also definitely go back and watch the first one.
Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up question. Have you seen the original?
I've heard it has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with the plot of this movie.
Not entirely true. There is a connection, but not, essential
it's
to enjoying
very loose.
Yeah,
it's very loose.
It's more really just like a conceptual, I think the fancy people call it, connection than it is really like a direct plot line. But Brandon might be able to clue us in a little bit more on that later.
Oh yeah.
Definitely check out the first one though. So what about you, Brandon? Was this I think this was your first watch with both of them.
Oh yeah, and of course if you haven't checked it out, you should definitely after this check out our pre-show where we talk about the first film. And looking at this, I had been curious about it, and I was just going to wait until Dave provided us with some extra ability to see it. But after seeing the first film, loving the heck out of it for the most part, and so when I had to go ahead and get myself a copy of the second one. And this was my first time viewing, and definitely after seeing what was the ride that the first film provided, the second film, I was a bit disappointed, I'll admit. But still, overall, I still felt like it was a fairly decent film and definitely worth a rewatch.
I think I've kind of skimmed over mentioning this before too, but the first Evil Dead, did I mention that it was released like on home video on the day I was born? Like the first Evil Dead trap?
Huh.
Yeah, I think I skimmed over that. It is in my notes here, but
Okay.
I don't know. What do you guys think of the overall plot of the film? I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It is basically
Plot?
what they fucking described. You know? Well, I mean, that is kind of the
Yeah.
plot. Is it's like there's
Two chicks
the
and
chick works as a projectionist, and she's like haunted by a tiny boy, right? And it turns out that it maybe is like. Well, we obviously know it's Hideki from the first one if we're thinking about it in that sense.
Yeah.
But you could easily assume it's just the ghost of like her aborted baby, right?
I don't get how Hideki is also the child that evidently is at home, at the home where the guy is actually living.
Well, Hideki
but
is
that
kind
was. Go ahead.
I was gonna say Hideki is kind of a ghost child, essentially.
Yeah,
And,
but what happened to his
as it
body
is-
at the end of the first one, where he's like, "Mama"?
The less said about that, the better. But I look at it. Well, if you think about the story, if you go back to the original Evil Dead trap, this is where the connection is. When you look at this, Hideki is essentially there was this family, and you had the older brother and the younger brother. The younger brother being Hideki. Hideki died before his time, and ended up possessing his older brother to. By the way,
That's how you
spoilers for Evil Dead
interpreted
Trap
that?
1.
I actually
Yeah.
think
Because I
that
interpreted it like he absorbed him like a twin, where they find like a massive tumor
I
on some
think-
motherfucker, and it turns out that there's
There's an
like hair and
actual-
teeth in there, and it's like, whoa, it's a person.
I feel like Hideki was very much like Basket Case, where he was basically deformed at birth to the point where he was almost
No,
a
you
part
gotta.
of the
dude,
brother.
It's the thing that happens.
birth.
Like sometimes twins absorb the other one. Like it's like some savage fucking in utero thing or whatever, where you're like in the womb fucking still or some shit.
Yeah.
And you just like eat the other twin, and then sometimes they'll have like a tumor that has like teeth and hair and like a person partially forming in it. It's fucked up, like Ripley's Believe It or Not shit, but it really does happen. And that's how I interpreted the Hideki thing, which made it like a weird, more of a body horror thing than a supernatural thing to me in the first one, at least. So.
Yeah. And I get where you're coming from, but with the pictures on the wall and the story that they were telling, Hideki was and it's the same basic child pictured as is the one that's showing up in the background. I really feel like Hideki was a real individual, and it became more of a possession than it was a thing there, and that was just the show of the possession. Hence the weird possession scene at the end, where you see him kind of coming out of the body of the reporter at the end. That's to me where the connection lies, and this is more of a free roaming version, but still.
Right.
If you notice, there's still that possession angle, all the
So
same.
you very much think that there is a supernatural angle to both of these films?
Oh yeah.
The second one, for sure. I mean, like I see where he's going with that, and it makes more sense in the second one that's what's going on. I don't know. I think that's fun though that we interpret it differently. The first one I take very much on more of a body horror level. Like he really had that twin inside him, and it was talking to him. Like
that's the way I took it. But now that Brandon mentions the possession angle, in a sense, yeah, he did kind of possess him because, he kind of had an Anthony Perkins moment, Well,
I think he could take over and control the body in the first one. I think in this second one, they definitely were leaning more towards a ghost child, like because they had the kid showing up, in the movie theater looking all ghosty and shit. And the lady was like, oh, and the guy's like, you should go to this cult and
that
fucking
doesn't
find out what this cult has to say.
That doesn't explain the moment where he walked into the room and he was like, oh, you're back.
Well, that whole shit with his family was some weirdness. Yeah.
Oh, very weird.
Like he was a married man and yet he was going out and making the two women love him.
Hey, it's that rapey angle back again that you were talking about with the first.
Well, yeah, there's got to be the rapey guy in both these movies because the connection to the pink film
That
genre.
seemed to kind of come out of nowhere. I was like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah, all of a sudden he's a rapist, and I kind of like this dude.
I don't know if I'd.
It's kind of like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde kind of a thing, because on the one angle, he's got this like erotic like relationship with the a newspaper reporter, and then on the other hand, when he gets with the projectionist, he goes all Hyde on her, So
Hey, but he likes those thick chicks, man. I mean, that's something on a more serious note that I think was handled very well in the movie. Is because basic plot line is there's this like what most people might consider a chubby chick, like a dumpy chick that fucking works as like this projectionist at this movie theater.
She looks kind of normal to me, but
yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it, but I get what they were going for in the way they dressed her in the parts where she's not killing.
They were trying to put her across as unattractive.
Thicker girl.
Right, and then they managed to frame her as very attractive in other parts of the movie, which I think is like, just in terms of cinematography or whatever, and the way they pulled all of it off, I think is very well done, But basically, she works as this projectionist, and she's haunted by this vision of the small boy while she's like killing motherfuckers, taking out their ovaries and shit. Her and her friend, who's like her high school friend, that's like a former pop idol that's became a TV reporter.
Mm-hmm.
They both like have the hots for this dude Kurahashi, who is this dope guy with glasses that, well, he's cool until he gets a little rapey. And then fucking basically it turns out that this girl is the serial killer that's been killing all these people, and this guy, like, they kind of allude that they're trying to draw all these forces together. Am I the only one that picked that up out of the translation?
Yeah. There was some strange spiritual revival-y, there is a dark force here kind of thing. Like I'm not gonna lie and say I understood it because it was very all over the place.
Yeah, it makes sense for like the first 2/3 of it, and then once it gets into the culty stuff and all that, it's kind of just becomes like, I don't know, weirdly dreamlike. You're just going through the rest of the movie.
Well, that whole scene with the spiritualist lady, that was something else. Where all the people in that cult room were all like shaking, and it kind of reminded me of this one moment where I was in a Episcopalian church, and they spoke with tongues.
Dude, you're hanging out with like the rattlesnake shakers and shit.
Yeah, I was.
Dude,
at one point in time.
That's fucking gnarly. Yeah, that was very reminiscent of shit like that.
Where supposedly you speak in tongues, you're supposed to be able to speak a heavenly language that only God and angels were supposed to speak, or something like that.
Who even knows?
Sure, why not? Fucking, but I think the movie makes sense as a basic sort of like, this girl's a serial killer. She's got a love triangle going on with her news reporter friends who used to be a pop idol, so she thinks a lot more of herself than she should, kind of thing. And there's this dude Kurahashi stuck in the middle of it, who is really a bona fide fucking creep, but also weirdly likable.
Well,
and
yeah. And then
like most of the movie makes sense up to the point where that stuff starts happening, and then it's like, okay, this is clearly like some fever dream. We're supposed to be in her position and feel how this craziness is like coming on, type thing.
Well, and to me, I think this is where where it gets kind of goofy as well, because then it's like it's a slow realization that it's very possible that the thicker chick has actually had an abortion at one point in time, because there are abortion
Well, yeah.
themes
Well, he
throughout
says
the
it.
entire second half of the
He says it.
film.
Oh yeah.
And if you catch it, she even says to that one bitch, like that Emmy girl, like, I know you told that motherfucker about my abortion. And she says something like, I don't know. The whole time she seems to be reveling in this girl's loneliness too.
Uh-huh.
Am
So
I the
she's
only
not
one that picked
exactly.
that
Yeah,
up?
she's pretty mean.
She's not exactly the best friend that she sells her out to
God,
be.
no.
No, it seems like one of those situations where the girl from high school kept the fat friend around to make her look better, but this time it's backfiring, so it makes her just as crazy as the girl that's already a serial killer, you know.
She kept her around to get
Yeah.
the free movie tickets. So
I guess. I mean,
for all the hot dates that she would go on, you know. So
I don't know. Do you guys have any
Yeah.
characters? I mean, they're really the cast of this one's a lot more bare bones compared to the previous movie. Yeah, any of you guys have like a character that stood out to you? I know I've mentioned a few, but there really is only a few.
The only character that I really noticed a whole lot about was our main character. Like, this was just such a strange movie. I have trouble processing it.
It is.
I do
It's
too.
got that ethereal sort of, not to sound stupid, but like that otherworldly fucking quality to
Yeah.
it. You know?
It's so weird.
In
Usually
a
we talk
way,
forever about these movies, but this time it's just kind of like,
I'm kind of
yeah,
I'm kind of stumped about the last fourth of the movie, to be honest.
yeah, well,
just the last fourth.
Well, I get it up to a certain point, and then it's like they broke all the rules after that. It's like goodbye, real world. Let's fuck with let's fuck with you now. You know?
Yeah, because
Well-
the first part of it is very much like this girl is a fucking serial killer, and clearly, like at night, overwhelmed by her incel life or whatever, she fucking goes on like these crazy murder sprees where she becomes this person that's kind of like the embodiment of what she'd like to probably be most of the time, but
Mhm.
isn't.
And it's
and
on one of
Goes
these.
around, and she lost a baby, so that's like the core of her fucking whole motivation here is that she lost this kid.
But she
And
also
so she
seems
goes
to
around
get.
cutting the ovaries, which IMDb totally gets wrong. She
But
cuts
she
the
also-
ovaries out of these fucking chicks,
Yeah.
dude, because like they're able to have babies. And then
Did you also see how the news reporter chick, after she filmed the dead body of the one victim, when she saw the
gets all
victim,
turned
that
on?
turned her on.
yeah, that shit's
So
filthy.
she got
I
with
love
that the Kayuki or whatever dude, and she,
fucking
There was just
Yeah.
like that. There's just like that that's what that random hotel hookup was, because it's like we suddenly cut to it and it's like, wait a minute, who are these people now?
Mhm.
Or at least that was my experience.
Yeah. And she's just like, I got turned on by the dead bodies. Once
Oh,
again.
wow. I know. I'm like ultra depressed right now, so I
See, that chick is
wasn't
gross.
focused as much as I should have been.
No, that's understandable, bud. That shit was gross from the get go, but then the way her, Emmy's character is portrayed through the whole thing makes
That
it
was-
grosser as
that-
it goes on. You
That
know?
was some necromantic type shit right there. So
Well,
Well,
she just
that's
eventually
going pretty
snaps
far.
because she basically
Yeah.
ends up pregnant with the fucking dude that they've entrapped between them in this weird, love triangle thing. Which is handled very well. I mean, the guy blatantly doesn't prefer that girl, and that's something that I thought was kind of cool about the movie is that it really does a lot like against the sort of stereotype that the hot chick has to be the main girl of a horror movie.
and I think
Oh, yeah.
she kind of saw that happen because she was like, "Have you fucked her yet?"
Yeah.
Well, I know I told you
He
to.
tries
But
to make her think that she basically made it all happen, but that dude really does prefer her, even though he's a fucking bona fide creep. But Yeah, I mean it's definitely not your average plot to horror film in terms of casting, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
you know, I think that stuff's pretty amazing. I think that fucking the fact that they treat it like it's no big deal too through the whole movie is pretty dope and kind of ahead of its time. But
Well, and though he got kind of rapey, did you notice how she was actually getting into the rape too?
oh well, I mean, dude, come on.
I mean, that was a confusing scene because he's like really
Yeah.
forceful, and then she's, I don't know, like I can't quite tell in that scene because it doesn't seem like
I'll be the one to say it.
I don't know.
If you've ever watched Asian porn, it's hard to tell if they like it or not. I mean, that's just
I mean,
true.
that's a good point, I suppose.
It's just facts, you know. Like I can never tell. So in a movie like this, it's open to interpretation.
I mean, it's a different
I think it
culture.
was like half rape, half consensual, kind of like the scene in the previous movie. If you
Well, it's such a different culture in terms of like what's
well, and you got to remember, like these were born
I
out of
guess.
yeah, right. And you got to remember these were also born out of the skin flick genre, technically. In Japan.
What year is this
Pink
from?
films. This is 1992 was when it was.
92.
So well, Japan, man. So the mysteries of the East, they were all about this shit.
And yeah,
Remember,
the,
Japan. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say you have a couple other things that are interesting ideas and sections when it comes to Japanese lore, and one of these is they have an interesting, I guess you could call it pro-life thing when it comes to some of their ghost lore. They do have a sort of like a demon fetus ghost lore, which is
yeah,
kind
this
of
plays off that for sure.
plays
I
off of it,
assumed
yeah.
that's basically what was going on.
So that goes in there, and of course with Hideki, I feel like Hideki actually once the woman was pregnant, I think that the fetus was possessed by Hideki in order to get his revenge.
But where does the
And-
other family come into it? You know,
Yeah, because
like Kurahashi's whole shit.
yeah, because after he gets done boning her after her dead body fetish, he goes home in a taxi, or was it after he visited the thick girl, but he goes home in a taxi, slips on his wedding ring, and goes home. And the first moment you see, you don't really see his family. You actually hear him talk to someone in the darkness.
Yeah,
That's
it's
just to
definitely
show
like
he's a
some.
scumbag.
I think it's like some Eraserhead shit, bro. Like he comes in there and the fucking family's in there all weird in the dark. He's like, "Have you been sitting like this all day?" And they're like, "I don't know." It's creepy to say the least, but I mean, I think that's just there to be weird in Japanese, honestly.
Okay,
I don't know that it really means that.
That's not the only time he actually goes home either. It's the second time that we actually get to see this so-called family and a full look at a child that he calls Hideki. So I'm wondering where the fuck this child, this full-figured looking child that's not gray and ghosty, has to do with the rest of the story.
Well, they allude to there being like this Hideki force, like this entity is trying to draw other forces to it, you know. They try to expand on it a bit in this second one, but I think no matter probably which version you get, it's kind of lost to translation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's
obviously
kinda
this fucking obviously they're trying to basically say that this entity from the first movie is trying to like bring these other evil people towards it in a way.
Draw all the evil negativity.
So like Kurahashi's family is just this fucked up Japanese. Like I don't know if you guys have ever seen that. What's Visitor Q? like Kurohashi's family is like that fucked up Visitor Q family, like these Eraserhead people, and then fucking Emmy is like this crazy vindictive like piece of shit news reporter pop idol girl, and then you have Aki, who's like this serial killer chick, and they're all sort of drawn together by the force of this kid. That's I mean, did I interpret that wrong, or did anybody else get that vibe from the?
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. So, my experience with when it comes to like Asian horror, in general, it's kind of how in the comics, like Superman is weak to magic because he doesn't understand it. It's sort of like that.
Right.
So it's like I'll watch something like Audition or whatever, and I'll just be sitting there like, what's going on? Like there's a lot of stuff you miss because it's made for like a very different culture. I mean, it's still good. It's just I wish I understood it better.
Yeah.
And like
to be like a
Hideki,
closet fucking, what do you call it? Like I don't know, man. I definitely understand it from just exposure to anime, and I'm pretty sure Brandon knows a lot more about us when it comes to that stuff. And this dude who just rolled up in here like a beast right now.
Yeah, there we go.
Voila.
He got some anime going on recently.
I mean,
Yeah, I've
I
seen
kinda
one or
like-
two shows.
So,
Oh, hey, welcome, Jake. Happy birthday, by the
Oh,
way. I totally missed
thank
you during Apocalypse Week, and
Apocalypse, huh?
So
I was-
Jake,
I had a bad time.
you gotta get your first impressions on this flick so you can dive in here with us.
Well, it was there.
I'm surprised you watched it, for that matter.
I did not have any strong opinion one way or the other. It barely made. It was just kind of dull and lifeless. Kind of like trying to think of a good example of another movie. Well, it's kind of like the way Dave seemed to describe the way he felt about Cat of Nine Tails. I actually like that one more. But,
Yeah. I don't know. I find that fucking. How dare you? I don't know. I think stylistically and musically, at least, this movie deserves.
Oh, I love the music. I'm sorry. Let me say I love the music. So that was the one good thing it had going for it.
Well, and let's just, to be honest, there's not a ton we really need to say about like the kills in it because most of them don't even really get shown on camera. It's very much more to build like the building psychosis of this girl's position.
Right.
And
It doesn't
I
really
will
get
say,
there until the end.
dude, cinematography wise
Mhm.
and like soundtrack wise, this movie fucking owns it. Those scenes where she's like stalking the girl down in front of the billboard. Oh my god.
So it sounds like your impression changed for the better. That's good though.
Wholeheartedly, man. And like, did you guys catch that fucking? A lot of people. I didn't notice it the first time I watched the movie, where it finally fucking zooms out on that second mirror down by the billboards, and it's like this whole scene of like the Japanese highway system all crazy, and like these billboards, and you can just barely down in the corner see her stabbing the shit out of the girl.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, dude, when you go back and you watch it and you realize that she's down there stabbing the shit out of the girl, it makes this whole landscape that you're seeing of like this nighttime fucking Japan shot. It's just sort of breathtaking, honestly. But the stuff with them in front of the billboard was nuts. That to me totally goes right to some like Suspiria shit almost, where it's just stylistically the movie is fucking awesome. The way they just all of that nighttime sort of Tokyo vibe that they had, it felt like a cross between Wicked City and Suspiria. The way they lit the movie a lot of the time, and I think that was fucking dope. I mean, really, if we're being honest, outside of the bare bones plot and the fucking, the couple of kills that happen in it, which don't even happen on camera, we're really talking more about like style choices and crazy shit like that.
Well, yeah,
Beyond
the killing was more suggestive than anything
yeah.
else. To be honest, I mean, you got the disembowelment of the ovaries from the newspaper news reporters. You have the gore effects of the bodies with the disembowelments like laying there. But in all honesty, you do not see her entirely do any of these killing. You see her run this girl down, and she's basically like tumbling around in the rain. And you see
they're bloody, but it looks. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't necessarily need to see the shit on screen in this one, whereas in the first one, it's definitely just the tone of the movie. You're gonna see some people get split open or something. This one definitely went more stylistic with it. Like they decided to fucking make something that wasn't just a slasher movie sequel. They did.
Oh yeah.
Their Suspiria in answer to what the first one was, and I think that's pretty fucking cool. And then that last sequence, that last battle sequence really is the main thing to talk about in the movie. I guess I'll let you guys give your thoughts on that before I run into it.
I gotta know because that one was probably the one that I would have expected that you would have had the hardest time dealing with, Jake.
Well, and I did, but it wasn't all purely the physical part of it. And I think this may have been one of the things that hurt the movie for me was I didn't want to see everything that was going on in this sequence. And I feel like I missed some story because this sequence made no flipping sense to me. It made no sense whatever.
Brandon, if you could interpret that ending scene, how would you interpret it?
Well, again, that's the thing is I mean, again, I am not 100% certain with this one because, again, it's just me guessing. And my guess is that because she's pregnant with the child, that the Hideki force itself was able to possess her and use her jealousy against her to turn her into a murderous monster.
All right. I gotta back
you're
you.
Talking about.
I gotta back it up here. That's not at all what happened, bro. What the hell? In the last part of the movie, okay. Basically, they've figured this shit out, but okay. What's the name of the first girl? Aki, right?
Aki,
yeah.
She comes to that chick's house like ready to kill her.
Yeah.
And this is after that scene where she chased her down and like jumped on her shoulders and like, you're never gonna get him, being all psycho and shit.
Yeah.
And then she comes to her house and she's like there down to fucking like slit this girl's throat. And it turns out that she's already went psycho too and killed the dude that's living with her. Like that dude, as far as we're concerned, I forget his name now.
Well, yeah.
The main dude, he fucking is like there dead in the bathtub, kinda. And he's trying to like come at her with
well, I swear his legs and limbs were like floating on the surface of that.
Yeah, I got that.
That scene where she just
there ready to kill the girl because she was trying. Because previously there was that scene where she ran her down and was like, "You're never gonna get him. I told him to sleep with you." Blah blah blah. So she came there ready to shank that bitch just on like jealousy. And that other girl was there like, I'm ready to shank you straight up. I'm ready to shank you straight on that psycho tip, like, let's do it. And that's pretty much what goes down for the rest of the movie.
I do think that there is a part of it that's related to that whole Hideki deal. Because even if you look at her face when she is doing this stuff, she's got all the weird veins and stuff on
Yeah,
her forehead popping out. It's there's something like weird demonic possession going on there on top
for
of her
sure.
normal jealousy that's pushed her over the edge, because she was perfectly content to be just a regular psycho bitch, and
Yeah,
instead of
and then she
the
turned it
crazy
into
one
like
that she did.
Is that the technical terminology? Or?
venomed up,
Yeah.
But you know,
vein, fucking brow,
It was a
homicidal chick.
when you
it
need
was
that
a
extra
psycholo-
push, you when you need that extra little bit.
it was a
This one goes for 11.
psychological it was a psychological fight between two mothers, to be honest.
Oh, and it was fucking glorious, dude.
And
I
when
mean-
Oh, yeah.
when they dropped down into that water, I felt like
Mm-hmm.
they were inside the womb of the fucking inside where
I
Hideki.
didn't think about it that way, but it totally makes sense. And there's that weird looking hole
Yeah.
that they made look more suggestive than it needed to be.
And she came out
Yeah.
with them scissors like she was going to cut some kind of umbilical
Mhm.
cord or some
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It was there were a lot of different weapons in there. Like it seemed like it almost changed like scene to scene. It's like one scene she's got like the box cutter and it's like, okay,
Mhm.
it's my preferred weapon. We're here for it. And then all of a sudden she just has these scissors and it's like, wait, where'd she get those?
Well, I think the
And-
projectionist had the special scissors that you used to cut the film. And,
Correct.
Oh yeah, that was
But
her
the other
preferred
ones
murder
had
and
weapon.
and Emmy had the box cutter.
Right.
Okay.
And I will,
got-
and I
got
will,
mixed
I
up.
will say here, like I saw the promise of a really cool film. There's a lot here that I liked. That end just went so far off the rails for me. Like I said, I lost track. What you guys are saying is not far off from what I was thinking, but it's still, it was kind of like, okay, is she crazy? Is she possessed? Are they both murderous, crazy people, or is only one of them
It makes
she
a little
possessed?
more
Yeah.
sense if you've seen the first one, but yeah, I can
Yeah.
understand that would be hard to interpret, man.
Right. So I always told this one had a somewhat tangential relationship to the first
Yeah,
one. So,
not really.
yeah,
I mean, well, it does, but it doesn't. Like,
yeah.
honestly, after watching both of them, like it
Mhm.
helps, I guess, to make some sense of what might be going on in the second one.
Okay.
Because there was already like tumor babies and supernatural shit before it. So
Hmm.
Yeah, that's just a weird thing overall. I have a
I
I don't know.
I'll probably have to rewatch that ending over again just to see if I can interpret it a little better. It's just it went a little too crazy. It's like
it did, and so, but to be fair, so did the first one. Like we already discussed that.
yeah,
in the
but
previous
not as much
episode
as this
where-
one did. Not as
Not-
much as this
Well,
one.
I don't know that I think this one reeled it in a little bit because we just had the one birth scene.
Oh,
We
yeah.
didn't have the lady infected by somehow a throat touch, and then her also giving
Well,
birth to like some random baby.
I guess both
And I also
films
would
had-
say that fucking this one, with it being a grown man's face that was burst, that shit fucking makes me laugh every time I see it, and also it is fairly disturbing.
Mhm.
To
Well,
me,
I guess
this one, yeah, this one didn't go off the rails like the other one did. It was a slow burn, and I felt like they actually did a better job of going of it when it comes to keeping it down to earth, because you knew there was something supernatural going on the entire time.
Right.
So
And
it-
by the end, when it comes the shock with the dude's face or whatever and her bashing it, it's like just kind of a cool moment, and you can see it as a throwback to the first one.
See,
maybe.
I also kind of interpreted there was a moment where you saw the man that they had both fallen in love with, okay, in a doctor's uniform, and I almost thought to a moment, well, is this flashing back to the moment where she actually had her own abortion?
Oh, yeah.
because that was the dude in the glasses that was behind the doctor's mask.
Yeah,
and he
I
was
would
going
give this
towards her.
movie credit for kind of being unique in that whole gimmick of it too, right? Like, I can't think of another movie where it's like a lady that's had an abortion that's freaking. The closest I can think of is Inside, that movie where that lady's trying to like steal that other bitch's baby or whatever.
I've seen one Japanese film similar to this. It was a film called The Locker, which was about aborted baby ghosts. And
I thought you said
not goats, but
I thought you said goats for a minute there, and I was like, excuse me.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I caught that. I was like, oh yeah. Let me make sure I said ghosts. And it has a similar feel to what's going on here.
Good band name though, Aborted Baby Goats.
Well,
Yeah, I'd listen to them.
Yeah.
of course, there are many different baby fetus films, like It's Alive.
Well,
That
I mean,
whole
I think
crazy trilogy. They're not really aborted. They're like mutants. It's complicated.
But are they as horrifying as Baby Geniuses?
Ugh.
Debatable.
Look who's talking now.
Hey, I liked that movie.
Yeah. Honestly, dude, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I spent like a solid 2 years of my life terrified of going to the toilet at night alone because of Look Who's Talking. Because there's that part where there's the potty monster.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, "Fuck that thing! I'm not getting."
I definitely don't watch Death Toilet now.
Toilet? Are you fucking kidding me?
But no, I mean, I think this movie, honestly, as much as it does not live up to like the meaty slasher reputation of the first one, it's like its own thing. And I do love the fact that it fucking reminds me so much of Italian horror movies. I don't know. Just the crazy vivid imagery of that neon blanket over the darkness of them fucking like her, just them there covered in blood looks cool under that, you know.
That's true. Like the blood in this was pretty crazy.
I like the part where she's gone out and attracted these two men, and they're going at her, and then all of a sudden you see the shadow of the child that's haunting her. That little moment right there where you see the premonition of her haunting,
Right.
It kind of foreshadows all the little different child moments that she starts to see after that.
That is true. Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, this in terms of like the vibe of the movie is fucking sick. It gives you like that late night sort of under the neon lights vibe through most of the thing, and then those scenes where they do like the billboard shit, I think really kind of captures that perfectly. And you guys really got to go look at that fucking sort of I don't know what you call it, where it's like that wide shot of the city, but then if you look close, you can see her stabbing the fuck out of that lady.
True.
While the billboards are making the water change color and shit. I mean,
that was an interesting moment.
Imagine like an Italian horror movie like that shot back in the day in Tokyo.
I remember the scene where she's kind of like she's covered in blood and she's throwing up, and it just cuts to, a shredded corpse like nearby. That was kind of my first hint. That's like, wait, what? She's involved with whatever's going on, isn't she?
Oh wow!
Most of the kills don't happen on camera, actually.
Yeah, it's very restrained until that ending where they're just like hacking away at each other with like switchblades.
And what do you guys think about that ending? Sorry, Jake, what were you gonna say?
What's up?
What?
We thought we cut you off, Jake. Say something.
No. I was just I was noticing something that amused me. But go ahead.
Well, you and fucking Brandon can probably understand. Like half the movie seemed like it was lit in the same way Wicked City was, which is weird because that's animated, you know. Like
Oh, shoot.
it had
Wicked
that
City was,
beautiful
pretty
blue
cool.
midnight fucking thing going on during a lot of it too. That I just cannot get enough
That's
of.
kind of what it. That's a good. If you're looking for an anime counterpart to the look, what do you think, Brandon? Is it kind of like Dark Side Blues?
I'd say it's
Oh,
Wicked
God,
City
Dark
meets
Side
Perfect
Blues.
Blue, kind of, you know.
Okay,
talking
so
about?
no, what I was chuckling about was I was looking at the writers, and one of them is one of the co-writers of Akira. Which
Yeah.
is
That's
interesting.
That directed
I
the
noticed
movie
that-
actually wrote it. I was right here in my notes. I was gonna pull that out and sound
But
smart
the
later.
other one, this was the one.
Thanks.
This was the one that made me. This was the one that made me chuckle. Chiaki Konaka is the other one, and in addition to a long and nice set of credits, Bubblegum Crisis Tokyo 2040, Serial Experiments Lane, Hellsing, which that one kind of lost to the end too, so that makes sense. The part that made me
the
chuckle,
Nazis.
Brandon will appreciate this one. Marebito.
Oh, God.
He wrote the
Actually,
novel and the screenplay.
Actually, now that you mention it, it does have a feel like that
Yes.
film. Almost an
Marebito is a Japanese
otherworldly.
horror film. It's a Japanese horror film that I subjected Brandon and another friend of ours to. Of course, I was subjected to it. I didn't know what I was getting into. I don't think any of us really loved it. That could have been a good second chances option, honestly.
Oh, yeah, I thought this was pretty good. Or
What's that?
I thought this was pretty good. Like I was impressed. I
Hmm.
mean, maybe not like good enough for me to like hunt down on like DVD or whatever and buy, but like if I saw it and it was cheap, to be like, yeah, okay.
Well, here's the deal, dude. I bought this at a time. Like, okay, this is kind of my final word, I guess, on Evil Dead Trap 2. I bought this at a time when I was not interested in style or subtlety or anything cool that comes with horror movies. I was like a fucking 19-year-old kid. It was like 10, 11 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I bought it because it was the sequel to a cool movie that I'd seen, which I ordered because I had not gotten on it since, you know, and watching it with you guys made me realize, like, holy shit, no wonder I was bummed on the second one. Like, the first one fucking rules. So basically I got this back in the day based on seeing a movie that was nothing like it, you know, and I didn't have the
Right.
sort of sensibilities to be able to appreciate the subtleties of the movie, you know.
Yeah.
In my mind, it was just a cheap piece of shit. Like, it didn't fucking, there's no gore in it or whatever until the last few minutes. And now I think that when they're fighting through those fucking white tapestries or whatever, that's probably one of my favorite pieces of horror imagery I think I've ever seen. It's just, there's something about it, you know, with the soundtrack that's going on and stuff. It's like definitely totally sending up to Italian horror movies too, I think.
Yeah.
I definitely got an Italian Giallo
from
vibe
the second one,
from the
especially.
first one
Like,
more
you
than
get
I
it
did
from the
this
first
one.
one. Well,
In the
I don't
first
know.
half, in the first half of this film, maybe. In the first
Like,
half
this
of it.
hit all the marks. Incoherent plot, check. Fucking, like, colorful visuals, check. Insanely good cinematography, yes. And then a good soundtrack, you know, that's like Jello in a nutshell. The plot really doesn't matter a lot of the time, you know.
True.
Okay, I really need to brush up on my Japanese. This looks amusing though.
I think this movie hits all those marks, though, you know. Like, it's got the good soundtrack, it's got good imagery, I know you guys are gonna get some mileage out of that landscape or whatever I was talking about, man. Like it's awesome to behold because you see this whole like awesome fucking nighttime Japan sort of scene, and then you look down there and you can see her in the glow of one of the other fucking billboards just fucking stabbing the shit out of some chick. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think the movie starts as like an interesting exercise of this serial killer chick being in a love triangle with someone, and it kind of ends where they just again go, "We got to be weird in Japanese." So let's figure out how to be weird.
I actually feel like the way they ended it, in a way, whereas with the original Evil Dead trip, I felt like the ending was a detriment to the film. And this one, I actually thought the ending was more of a saving grace. So it made me feel more for the character because I didn't have a lot of feeling for her because she was just somebody who was going and killing people and ripping their ovaries out because she felt self-conscious about herself and had
well, it
issues
turned
with
out, yeah, it's
past
because she
issues.
had the abortion. Yeah.
Yeah, but of course you don't get that at first,
But-
though.
That's not necessarily a reason to go out and kill people, though.
No,
Well,
I
I
don't
mean,
really feel sympathetic for her to go out and kill a bunch of people.
it was an interesting reason compared to other like reasons for
Yeah.
slasher killers or whatever the fuck.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like whenever I think of reasons, like I just remember. Has anybody seen Analyze This or Analyze? I can't remember if it's
Yeah.
Analyze This or Analyze
Yeah.
That. The second one,
Good.
where like
Yep.
Analyze that. Yeah.
where
Yeah.
the actor is coming to like the actual mob boss for like advice, and it's like, what could I do if I'm angry? I don't know, just punch a guy. It's like, but why would I do that though? It's like, I don't know, you're pissed, he's there. That's it. It kind of has me thinking of that.
Why
Okay.
is that not?
Well,
in
in any case, shall we talk about special effects then?
Oh, the effects
Well,
of
of
this are
course.
pretty damn good.
Yeah,
I was
they do
actually
the
pretty
job.
impressed with the effects.
I like
Right.
that they don't focus on them too much. Like it's kind of there as just another layer of the movie. It's not like the first one where those shocking scenes were definitely supposed to be like shocking. And in this one, it's very much to build the idea that this lady is fucked up, and I think it does a good job of that.
I think so. I mean, like I said before, with a lot of the gore moments, a lot of it was suggestive. So, to me, I love the look of the makeup and special effects of the bodies themselves, of the victims that you see, and I guess the scratches and the blood that the two mothers end up enacting on each other. Those look pretty good, believable. So,
Well, we don't see a ton of it on screen either.
no.
That final sequence.
All right, favorite moments. Did everyone have any favorite moments that they wanted to say?
I think I just like the finale because it's like, what is happening? And it's just, it's almost kind of 2001-ish, and just like a lot of stuff going down really fast.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, they're fighting with knives. Okay, they're somehow at a factory now. All right, they've fallen to the floor
they're in
and they're
water.
fighting in water. What is
that
going
fight scene
on?
went
Okay, there's
on.
somebody in a net, and
Yeah.
there's like a
What was
demon
that?
baby. What's happening?
I was
What
trying
is
to figure out.
happening?
I was trying to figure out who the fuck was in the net.
I mean, I'm sure if we paid like perfect attention, we'd be like, "Oh no, that's whoever." But I don't know. This was a
Well, I
nutty.
tried
This was
to,
a
and I
nutty
still
movie.
didn't know who the fuck that lady in the net was. But
Hmm.
I don't know. What did you guys think about it, Brandon and Jake?
The lady in the net? I didn't know.
Just all of it, that whole
Yeah.
finale sequence.
I thought it was a fairly kick-ass fight scene, but there was a lot of gore in it. So I could see why some people who are more sensitive to that, like when they snap the girl's arm.
Oh God,
at
damn
that
it,
one
Brandon!
point.
I was hoping we could get through this and not mention that.
But it's one of those
As
things
my
that
mom
you
used
look
to
at.
say, that makes my butt tingle.
Those are the type of effects that you get through that film, and that's a part of this film, like anything else. So
Yes.
I mean, that is, and the gore effects really are part of what makes the fight scene as intensive as it is, and as strange as it is, with her going on the operating table, and all of this stuff going. It just was both a psychological and horror roller coaster, really, if you think about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Uh,
they don't overuse it either. Like
Brandon,
obviously the effects are better than the first one, but they
fa-
don't
Oh, yeah.
overblow it in the same way, or they're not even trying to make the same kind of movie. So
Brandon, did you have a favorite scene that you wanted to pull from the film?
I actually really like the scenes of her in the projectionist booth, because it's just those kind of pondering scenes that just have her like pondering her life and how things are going.
yeah.
I don't know. There's something about it that just gives me those extra like bits of insight into the character.
Jake, if there was a scene that you could pull from this movie, is there any scene that you, in particular, that strikes your fancy?
I'm tempted to say kind of what Brandon was just saying. The little, not partly the projectionist things. I think we did a fair job of creating Aki as a character, and so there were a lot of little scenes of putting her forward as you understood her. I think more than you did the other
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah.
And the projectionist scenes definitely helped a lot with that. That first scene where she meets the reporter and that other guy, not really meets me, but she's meeting with them. If I remember correctly, didn't that scene end with something like the reporter saying something along the lines of like, I'm probably going to have, there's probably going to be another killing tonight. I guess I got to
Yes.
get ready. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, well, that's an awfully flip way to look at it. And I was kind of amused by that. But my favorite thing easily was the music. So it's not so much a particular scene, but I think there were certain scenes in particular where the music like worked with it really well.
Yeah, they greatly benefited from the fact that they kind of took the best things about the score of the original one and then turned that into honestly like a like I said in my notes here. I think it's better than most fucking standard like horror movie scores at the time.
This had pretty good music. Like I noticed that.
Yeah, and it's on par with like the lower end of the fucking Italian horror movie scores,
Right. It did have a little bit of similarity. It wouldn't be surprising to me if they cited some of those scores as influences or whatever.
Right.
I thought the score in the first film was actually better than this score, but this score was pretty decent too.
I would agree, but I thought that the score was used better, like to build the film and the visuals and stuff. Like I think the score in the first one was like harder hitting, but I think this one really kind of worked well with the scenes. You know,
As far as me, my favorite scene, or scenes, or I guess I have two of them. The first one is where she's that one where she's actually run down the girl, and it looks like there are some people right around the corner, and she realizes that she can't entirely continue to kill off her victim because she doesn't want to be seen. And that's why she's just standing there looking at her with the
yeah,
knife in
that's
her
one of
hand.
my favorite ones for sure.
And then of course, she's just killed a victim or something like that, and she's having that erotic moment in front of the mirror, and that's right before the rapey scene. For some reason, I don't know why, that awkward moment where you just see him in the background. It's like, well, what the fuck? I was just touching myself, man.
Yeah, that was a bit gnarly. I think if I had to pick anything favorite about it, it's just like all those scenes with them and with the billboard. Like anything they did with that, I thought was fucking sick. Especially that big panoramic or whatever the fuck shot, where it's like she's down in the corner. You guys are gonna dig that when you take a look at it.
I kind of wish I'd seen the first one after this, because this turned out to be much better than I expected it to be. Like I was expecting something like an Evil Dead ripoff of some kind,
right?
Just because of the crazy name, which honestly makes no sense.
Well, we clearly ripped off.
Yeah, if you get a chance, dude, you should. I mean, I don't think Jake should watch the first one, but I definitely think that you should, because you like that kind of slasher genre, and the first one definitely like really plays to that in many ways. And shoot, I went ahead and I bought the Synapse film release of the first one because I wanted to see that.
And
Yeah, I think Dustin will like it.
And the first one is actually in a link somewhere before this one, Dustin. So when you go back, when you go backwards a little bit, you can find it. It's actually on YouTube. So.
Oh, cool. I've got Superman Red Sun queued up, because apparently that came out today, and I didn't know about it until I saw an ad for it.
We did the comic in Comic Club. It was fun.
Oh, well, this is the animated adaptation, which they'd been kind of touting for a while. I didn't even know it was out. So, woo! I guess it's like a brand new release today, though. So, I need to get the color out of space. Like that came out today.
Some of those
too.
they do a good job with.
Some of the DC animated movies are just incredible. Like Gotham by Gaslights, I think probably their best recent one.
Which one did you say just came out?
Red Sun.
Oh, right.
It's like, what if Superman landed in Russia instead of Kansas?
So apparently, according to this, the literal translation, the film is actually Shiro Nawana. It says "Trap of the Death Spirits." That sounds so much better than Evil Dead Trap. It sounds so much better than Evil Dead Trap. Why did they change the title?
Because Evil Dead's popular, and it would probably get butts in seats.
Yeah.
Well, the first film came out in 1988. So, when did the original Evil Dead come out?
83, 82, somewhere around there.
Okay, so
I think Evil Dead 2 might have been 88, wasn't it?
Might have been
86 or 87 at the earliest, I think.
So, Evil Dead was still quite popular around
Evil
then.
Dead 2.
I could see it as a marketing thing that the U.S. did because a lot of times that's how titles would get somewhat popular in Blockbuster. If you stuck Evil Dead Trap right next to Evil Dead, somebody might pick it up by mistake and think it's the Evil Dead.
It happened a lot.
Yeah. And people probably look at it and go, "What are you talking? This is nothing like Evil Dead." What?
Evil Dead Trap 3, that is directed by the same director, was not intended to be connected, but they tried to sell it as that. So.
But in any case, why don't we start with? Did anyone else have anything else to add to the film?
Well, yeah.
You said, well, yeah, and then I thought you were going to have a point.
Sorry.
Right.
Well, from somebody who's completely unfamiliar with the series or just like Asian horror in general, I thought this was actually pretty good. So I would say check it out, even if it's maybe not your typical thing. Like, give it a try.
For sure.
Alrighty.
I,
So, go ahead.
I'd like to give a recommendation. Don't try and analyze this too hard, and I think you'll be fine. And I think the same thing goes with looking at both of these, because to me, I think analyzing it too much. That's what we're doing here. We're having fun with it because this is just what we do. But really and truly, you don't need to analyze this. Just enjoy the gory fun and the kills. That's really what it's all about.
Yeah, it's really a movie you could put on with like its soundtrack on loop and just have it on mute, and it's gonna be good background imagery, you know.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Alrighty. So, Brandon, what if you could tell us? Let's wrap this up here. So, Brandon, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and?
And Dave, if you will give me some time at the very end of yours to go over our upcoming month, that'd probably be the best time for it.
Sure thing, man.
So, but any case, I'm Septum Sen of Septum Sen versus the World. I run a channel. What the heck was that?
I do not know. What? Oh well. At least it was brief.
Well, I run a channel dedicated to physical media and the love of physical media. We have various things such as movie reviews, movie discussions. We've been doing doing a lot of really rapid reviews lately for our site. We continue that with our vlogcast at the end of this week. And one thing that I have gotten back into is doing some video reviews. I just posted the review of Death Toilet 1 and 2, which kind of brings me full circle on the Evan Jacobs Anhedonia project, because there were only two I had yet to see. I have also got a review of Miami Guns. So for those of you who love anime that's not so good, but attempts to be in the vein of Excel Saga combined with You're Under Arrest, if you are familiar with those. Basically very strange and not as strange. There's also these reviews of both of these films and a indie film called The Kane Complex, which was sent to me through Wet Movie One and out of an auction. If you have a chance, come and support his site. He's been through some troubles lately himself, and he is definitely worth watching. He's a collector as well. That's about it for that. I work with Inside Movies Galore to do a lot of things and projects. I think Dave and I are both kind of doing concurrent anhedonia projects ourselves, so we are working together on that and separately at the same time. I help run the schedule, so I have the for Music Lovers March, and I will go over that at the very end, so you guys will know what's upcoming.
Yeah, stay tuned for that shit. It's gonna be
And Mo, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
I just review shitty movies, dude. Check out my channel, Drunken Master Studios. Other than that, I hang out with these dudes and talk about other shitty movies. So,
well, they're usually better movies.
Pretty good, actually. I find like a better appreciation for movies with you guys than I do when I'm reviewing them for my channel, because I tend to watch them and just be like, "Fuck that thing," and
You should
Then
have more
I
confidence.
kind of read him off, you know. Like,
You should have more confidence in yourself and your opinions and viewpoints, so
I
that you
have
can get some
confidence in my
more.
opinions, it's not necessarily the movies, you know.
Oh yeah, you
Thing's a fucking
definitely
piece
need to
of
watch
garbage.
his channel and the and all of his participation when he does the RGC, because his recent review when it came to Close Encounters of the Third Kind was really fun to watch.
I think it was the most definitive review anyone's ever done.
Good deal.
Actually, for that note, you should check out our discussion that Emma and I had on a Western film just recently.
Yeah, that's a good one.
They called him Cemetery. So
True fact. Yeah, and then just basically, I don't know. Listen to these guys. They know more
alrighty.
than I do.
Dustin, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
I have a YouTube channel. I collect horror, well, anything related to horror, really. And my channel is The Crypt of Horrors. And it's also my Instagram, which I'm probably going to have to be much more active on, because my Twitter account got troll bombed. So it might be gone for good, and I have not been taking it well. So yeah, follow me on Instagram at The Crypt of Horrors, or the short handle is DHR Hunter, because I couldn't change that for some reason. And check out my channel. New videos coming whenever the pain goes away. So, yeah.
Okay, Jake.
Now
Why don't
comes
you
the part where Jake tells us about all the awesome nature adventures we're supposed to be having. He refuses to fucking upload to the internet.
Oh, there were
remember
some
to
good,
take
adventures.
your
Oh my
toilet
God.
paper with you?
there were some good ones this week. But anyway,
I'm waiting for it, Jake. God damn it.
well,
I love you.
anyway, so I'm Good Looking Jake. I frequently guest on Symptoms In versus World, where we have, as we're going to say, all kinds of fun discussions about physical media and the collection thereof, and et cetera, et cetera. We have
Oscars.
Oscars, and we have a big one coming up. That's the week that the Oscars were supposed to be. The stupid people that thought it was good to do it in early January, early February. It felt like early January.
So we've got some Brandon
Yeah.
strolls. When are we going to get some Jake strolls through that collection, baby?
So if I had a place to display it, I would do that. But they're like here, there, and everywhere, and it sucks, and that needs to change. But anyway, so we do have the upcoming of the best films of 2019. I know we're both doing some cramming this week to get some.
Oh yeah.
But and then of course, like you said, I do have my own channel, Code Bookie Jake. That's a nature themed channel that will, I promise, get some updates in the future. But I have not been good at updating it. But yeah, I did have gorgeous weather on my birthday, which did lead to some strolls in the woods.
Jake, my thing is like you have a pleasing voice and you say things like gorgeous weather. So I think that you could fucking have a channel where it's just
I should be a weatherman.
going out there. Yeah. Become a fucking cosmetologist. What is it? Or is that a person that does makeup?
That's person who does like hair and stuff. Yeah. But hey, he could do like Brave Wilderness and just get stung and bitten by things, and you'll get like tons of hits.
Yeah, but I'd prefer.
I'd rather not cause them pain.
He'd be one of those like people that you'd be like the next crocodile hunter.
If you start making me money like that, I'll build you a life-size Garfield fucking layabout so you can just be like lasagna, and I'll just fucking feed it to you. Yeah, if you're making nature videos and people are like, I like this guy, the cut of this guy's jib.
Look for
I think much like the StreamYard duck, you could become an. We need to start pushing that duck more, guys.
Oh yeah, it's a little duck there. Yes. Oh, actually, that was one of my nature sightings this week. A duck called a bufflehead. I just love the name of the bufflehead. It's
You
like,
could be like
who
our
named that?
StreamYard duck. I mean, it could just be a little picture of Jake's face over there.
Some Victorian dude, probably.
Probably. Yes.
Affleck.
Oh, jeez.
That's
Okay.
definitely got, huh?
Yeah. And then, of course, we also have, I spend a lot of time on this channel as well, and on the related Delusions of Grandeur. We do some fun stuff there, and I'm looking forward to us seeing which films made it from my theme, the Music Lovers March. I don't think any of my movies got chosen. I'll find out shortly with the rest of y'all.
Oh my god, I hope Reefer Madness
Ooh.
made it.
Are you
All
not
right.
excited about it?
Brandon, give us the bad news.
Okay, so we've got some upcoming things for, of course, Music March, and I'm going to include with that a lot of pre-shows. I actually had to reshuffle this, and I'll tell everybody after we're off the air with the who got the highest vote totals, because I do know those pretty well. But we're going to start off next week with our pre-show, which is going to be silent horror in our
All right.
Way Studios month, and so we got a little bit of comedy horror based off of Silent Hill and Resident Evil, and then we're going to follow up with our first Music March film called Repo: The Genetic Opera.
Ooh.
Yes!
So which I believe Dave will end up hosting because he put that up. Then next up for Music March, we don't have necessarily a pre-show plan, but there may be one in the future. We will follow up with the popular movie Labyrinth.
Ooh.
All right.
Wait, that's a musical?
That was one of my another one of my
It stars
picks.
David Bowie.
Jeez.
It's got music in it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
it's like-
music.
I guess
I got
my
that
picks were.
soundtrack. It was really good.
I guess my picks
And,
were actually pretty good.
And the next one, which I had to rearrange because of we need the pre-show for, and also the one that won by far with the most votes, which is Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, with the pre-show of Mad
I
Max
still don't
and
agree with that.
Road Warrior. Mad
And
Max has one of the most kick-ass soundtracks there is.
we should. I don't know why, but maybe we should also, if we're doing Mad Max and Road Warrior, but on that show we should also do Mad Max, the Fury Road one.
It give me a reason to watch my copy.
Yeah, we could definitely go for a 3 for if we could try and do no pre-show for Labyrinth, and that way we'd have enough time to get all 3 films watched. But that would be interesting, and then follow up with Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome as our Music Lovers March. And then, of course, on our next month with a pre-show of the original version of this film. Sorry, not next month, the next one. There's 5 Tuesdays in March, which is pretty cool. The next one will be Little Shop of Horrors, which is also a musical. And I believe Dave wanted to do the original, which has Jack Nicholson in it, for the pre-show.
That was on Attack of the Bees, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So that's easy enough. And I also have another copy of it, so we'll be able to access that easy. The last one, of course, which really hits the tail end of March, is going to be another one, which I believe Mosley ended up suggesting to us, which is Rock and Roll High School, Roger Corman classic, which is a pre-show with the sequel, Rock and Roll High School Forever. Which is a favorite of mine, definitely.
Which I will have to pick up copies before that last one. So I'm glad that you put it as the last one. So
that one you need to get. Out of all of those, that is like the first one is like a classic right there. But with that being said, that is Music Lovers March, and we will look forward to next week with our silent horror, followed by Repo the Genetic Opera.
Well, thank
Alrighty.
all of you guys for like participating in this too, man. It's been fun.
Oh yeah, we had
Alright.
we had a lot of votes cast all over the Facebook webs, and we had a decent participation. Not a huge, but a decent one.
Okay.
That's good. Alrighty. Well, in any case, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you've enjoyed our ramblings on this film, and hopefully y'all will be looking forward to our coming month of music loving. So definitely stay tuned. We have some more crazy shit to talk about, and we'll let you all go with a good evening. So good night, everyone.
Remember,
Night.
use protection.
Good
Night.
night.
Hideki doesn't know where he's going to be. Use protection.
He was here inside you.